Aloha again to everybody following our adventures. If you clicked on this video, you're probably entertaining the idea of traveling to Hawaii, or maybe you've already started planning and you're just really genuinely curious to see how we did it. We've always been a couple that likes to travel a lot, and especially with our little one, we like to make those memories as often as we can. And to add another layer to it, we like to make these videos to look back on and to remember and to really cherish that time, but also to help you guys out with your planning as well. So military families know how hard it is to plan trips, especially with the soldiers' schedules and just not always knowing when they're going to be home or when things are going to change. So it's always nice just to have a plan and maybe have a backup plan, and then maybe have another backup plan to your backup plan. Planning a trip to Hawaii sounds like a big deal, and it is, because for us it's far away because we live on the East Coast, and it's a good day's journey to get to the islands. So there is a lot of planning that goes into it. With that being said, travel agents are wonderful. If you decide that it's too stressful and you don't want to deal with it and it's just too much to think about, reach out to a travel agent. But if you guys are military, like us, you might be with the same mindset that if I can do it myself, I'm going to do it myself. So it might be worth just trying, or at least looking at our agenda and saying, oh yeah, we like that, or we would never go here. This will give you like a baseline to go off of and maybe make the trip seem a little bit more achievable to you. My husband, Tim, he's part of this channel as well if you haven't seen any of the other videos. But for this one, I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through how we planned everything, because let's be honest, planning is more my thing, not so much his. So today, I'm going to talk to you about how to go to Hawaii with your military family. So I'm going to preface this video by saying that this trip that we just got back from was a celebration. Tim and I have our 10-year anniversary coming up in July. Tim is also on his 20th year in the Army, and you guys know what that means. This was kind of like a big thing for us, but I want you to know that just going into it, so that when I read off some of these things, you're not like, whoa. We go to Shades of Green all the time. And if you guys are familiar with us on our channel, you know that we have a lot of videos from there. If you haven't seen them, I'll put a playlist down below for you to check out. Shades of Green is an AFRC resort. That means it's a military installation and there's no taxes. So for this trip to Hawaii, we decided to utilize the Hale Koa Hotel, which is in Honolulu. It's the sister resort to Shades of Green. So it's a military exclusive resort. Only military spouses and their sponsored guests can stay there. So similar to Shades of Green, Hale Koa Hotel books out a year in advance, especially the standard rooms because they're a lot more budget friendly. And so that's the one everybody wants to book first. Like I said, for this trip, we're celebrating. So we wanted to book one of the bougie rooms, as I like to say. We wanted the trip to be special, so we wanted the deluxe oceanfront room. So that rate right now in 2023 is going to be $375 a night. And again, that's tax-free. We do also have a room tour of that room. If you'd like to see that, I will link that down in the description as well. So this is the first thing that we wanted to book. Because it's so hard to get a room there and because they go so quickly, this was the first thing that I wanted to pin down. Now, switching gears to the military star card, which you may have heard me mention in other videos. They normally give you a 10% off discount on your first day of use with a new account. So that means you open up a brand new credit card, and then on the first day that you use it, whatever you buy that day, you save 10%. Now, every once in a while, they'll have a 15% promotion. During that time frame, I applied for the card because I didn't have one yet, and I was approved. I called Hale Koa, paid the room off with the military star card, and they charged the full amount to my card, but then on the next statement, they credited the savings back. For the 6 nights that we booked at Hale Koa, it would have been $2,250 tax-free for 6 nights. Because I used the military star card and I saved the 15%, it was $1,915 tax-free. And again, that's after they charged the card and then they credited back the $337 roughly. Now, something else to note, Hale Koa does have a parking garage, so you can rent a vehicle there and park it there overnight, but it is a $20 charge per day. So once we had our dates locked in at Hale Koa, we needed to look for flights. We have a credit card through Citibank. I accrue points through spending. It accrues your airline miles. So at that point, I had enough to cover the entire trip to Hawaii and all of the connections for Tim and I. Now this was like economy. This isn't like first class or anything like that. But with just Tim and I, we didn't need that. But that's some pretty good savings. We saved several $1,000s, I think. So we have our hotel booked. We have our airline booked, and that's really the two main things that we need to figure out early. The last piece was obviously childcare for our daughter. We had both grandmas flying in from out of town to cover the extended time we were gone. So the first grandma came in, she was here for half the time. The second grandma came in, she tag teamed her out, and she took the last half of the trip, and they also took care of the cats too. So I think from this point on in the video, I'm going to break it down per day for you and just kind of walk you through the itinerary and then what we spent. Okay, so our trip started off on Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023. This was our travel day to Hawaii, and again, flying from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way to Honolulu. It was a journey. Fortunately for us, we didn't have any delays or anything like that. So we got to the airport around 9 in the morning. Our flight was at 11, and Charleston Airport is very easy. It's pretty quick to get through security, and we actually both have the TSA pre-check on our accounts. That also saved us some time. So we got through security, had a few morning drinks at the bar, and then picked up a few snacks and waters too for the plane. I'm going to read this from my computer because I don't have all these prices memorized, obviously, and this was several months ago. The airport drinks and snacks were $38.64. Once we got on the plane, I decided to do a little work on said laptop, and so I paid for the in-flight Wi-Fi, which was $29. We did have a layover in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then again in LAX. They were quick. We didn't have to hang out at the airport for very long. In fact, we ran when we were in LA to get to our next connection. We made it, thankfully. But once we finally landed in Hawaii, it was around 9:18 p.m., and we had pre-arranged the transportation from the airport to Hale Koa. So it's a company called Hawaii 23. It's called Hawaii 23 because the base price is $23 for two people, I believe. However, they do have a clause that says if you are picked up after 9 p.m., it's an additional $10. So we ended up paying $33 to get from the airport to Hale Koa. Now, it was only like maybe 20-30 minutes to get there, and they do pick you up in a shuttle van, so there's plenty of space. We could have had more people with us had there been anybody else that landed for Hale Koa, but it was just Tim and I, and then the driver. He was very friendly. It did take them a long time to send us the confirmation. I think it was like a few days before we arrived that we actually got an official confirmation. It might just be easy enough to get an Uber. I've seen people say that it costs about the same price, between $30 and $40 maybe. There are other companies as well, other taxi services too, so you could look into those. But fortunately for us, it was pretty simple. Once we finally got to the hotel, we got checked in, and then we made our way up to the room. It was pretty late. It was around, if I remember right, it was around 11 p.m., so not a lot was open, and so our options for food was pretty limited. Since we were running to get to our connections through the airports all day, we didn't have a lot to eat, and there was no food on the plane. So by the time we got there, we probably would have eaten anything. We were so hungry. So luckily, we ordered off of Uber Eats, but there was a restaurant nearby called Oh My Grill, and they had Hawaiian plates of food. They had chicken, shrimp, fish, that kind of thing, and then rice, and then some different sides. It took them about 45 minutes to deliver it, and then Tim ran down to the lobby and picked it up, and we just inhaled it and went to bed. We were so tired, because at that point, with the time change, it would have been like 2 or 3 in the morning back home, so it was a long day for us. We were beat. So total cost for our travel day from Charleston to Hawaii, it cost us $146.57. Again, if you're traveling from the East Coast, which is probably the furthest point away, just know that you're probably going to sleep in the next day, but that might be the only time you sleep in. Because of the time change, we woke up early every day we were there. We allowed ourselves to sleep as long as we wanted to the next morning, but then we were so excited to be in Hawaii and the sun was coming up, and so we were pretty much up with the birds. We went downstairs and got coffee from the Starbucks. There was a long line, but it moved pretty quick. It only took maybe 10-15 minutes, and the people that are working behind the counter were quick and efficient, and they've been doing this a while. So it cost $7.20. I just got a tall latte. And then after we got ready to go for the day, We went over to the Alima Tower and we went to Coco's for the breakfast buffet. I really liked Coco's and I think Tim did as well. I wish we were there longer to go there multiple times because the first time we had it was wonderful. If you remember from the videos, I got the banana pancakes with coconut syrup, which were my favorite thing. Tim got that warrior creamed beef, which is basically like sausage and gravy on biscuits. But the total cost for 2 adults at the buffet, plus a couple drinks. Tim did get a beer, and I got a cocktail or a mimosa. It was $60 after tip. And it's tax-free, don't forget, because you're on a military installation. So I thought that was pretty affordable. I thought it was a great deal. The food was good. It's a buffet, so again, it's all you can eat, and you're not paying taxes. So pretty good for Hawaii, too. So after breakfast, Tim wanted to get a haircut, which sounds silly on vacation, but he just didn't have time to do it before we left. Military members may be able to relate to this. Fortunately, they have a salon and barber downstairs at the resort. Tim was able to get in there and they cut his hair. Now, he did say that it wasn't his favorite haircut. It was $20.94 is what he paid. And he had the basic, trim with the fade, and it was pretty standard. He said it was worth it for $20. So after his haircut, we decided to explore. We wanted to explore Hale Koa, walk around the grounds, look at all the trees and the pool, and just see how beautiful it was. So we did that. We had a couple drinks because you're on vacation. And then we found our way over to the Hilton Hawaiian Village, which is not even a half a mile away. If you just go down towards the beach, make a right down the path, and there it is. There are restaurants, there is shopping, there is just everything you can imagine in this area. We passed one of those pick-a-pearl stores. I wanted to make a point to get Story something since she wasn't with us, and I thought this was the perfect thing to do. And they had the oysters that you can pick, and then they'll extract the pearl out of it, so you don't know what you're getting necessarily. But I thought it was a fun little souvenir. It was $15.65. So once we had our pearl, we found the ABC store. Now, everybody's going to tell you about the ABC stores in Hawaii. They're basically convenience stores, but they have everything. Hawaiian specialties, your everyday convenience store items, like all kinds of stuff. We did get a few snacks, maybe like some chips and some macadamia nuts and some water. That was $26.46. And then after that, we found Lappert's, which you do need to check out if you're staying at Hale Koa. They have some of the best ice cream. It's so good. And then they make all of the waffle cones and waffle bowls in-house, so that smell when you're there, it smells so good in there. I got a scoop of ube, and then I can't remember the other flavor I got, but it was some kind of coconut cream pie or something, I think. And then Tim got peanut butter cup, which is what he always gets. With the waffle bowl and 2 scoops each, it was $21.10. So a little bit pricey, but I mean, you're in Hawaii, everything is a little warm. We decided to go back to Hale Koa, get a few drinks, just kind of like do a little bit more exploring. So we went back, we went to Biba's walk-up bar, got a couple Mai Tais because you're in Hawaii and you cannot leave without a Mai Tai, especially the one at Hale Koa. They're known for it, and it is delicious. I had several. So what I did on this is I just kind of combined all of the drinks that we had throughout the day. It wasn't all at one time. We didn't sit down at the bar and then drink all of these drinks. It was just kind of sprinkled throughout the day. And altogether, the drinks we spent, now it sounds kind of crazy, but it was $72. Our first day there is the day that we planned on going to the Luau. This is something that we booked in advance online. Again, you can go to the Hale Koa website and you can pick your seats, but the cost for 2 adults was $230. Again, tax-free. For the $230, it included all of your food. It included all of the activities that they have beforehand. This also covered 1 alcoholic drink per person. We did get our pictures taken with the dancers when we came in, so we got our drinks and then we went right over to the dancers. Got a couple pictures. We even got a picture of just Tim and I by ourselves too. After the activities, we went down to our table to eat. And then after our food, they did walk around and they showed us our pictures. It takes time to develop and print and all that. But they showed them to us and they were like, these are $20 if you're interested. We ended up getting both. And so we spent $40 on the pictures. So the total for the day, everything that we spent the entire day from morning to night totaled $493.35. Okay, so for our 3rd day on vacation, this was Friday, February 24th. This was the day we decided to do all of our adventurous hiking and go exploring on the windward side of the island. So this was also the day that the Jeep was dropped off to us. We decided to ultimately go with a company called Turo. If you haven't heard of it before, it is basically a car sharing service, so kind of like Airbnb, but for cars. So you're renting somebody's personal vehicle, and you can do it all through the app. We did book this in advance. We have used it before. We had a great experience, so we went with it again. It was also the cheaper option for us. We checked out car rental services, like getting something at the airport and driving it, and it looked like too much money for too small of a car. So with Turo, we found a gentleman named Barry, and he is a former military. I think he's former, or maybe he's still current military, but he is a military member. And he had a blue 2023, I think, Jeep, or 22, I don't remember the year it was, but it was a really nice Jeep Wrangler. And we didn't need it for the whole time we were there because, like I said yesterday, we didn't leave. We just walked around all the properties. And so we didn't need it until today, until the day we had to drive to go hiking. He dropped it off really early in the morning. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. We contacted him through the app and we were like, if you want to drop it off later, that's totally fine. And he was like, no, I'm going to be there at 5 a.m. Once you get out and you start driving through this traffic, you'll understand why. So apparently it's just a lot less congested in the morning. So he likes to drive it into Waikiki to drop it off at Hale Koa very early so that he can get out before he gets trapped. And that makes sense. We're totally fine with that. Again, coming from the East Coast, we were waking up early anyways. So the total cost for the rental of the Turo for 4 nights, which is how long we needed it, was $609.77. So he parks the car, he goes and gets me a Starbucks on the way back to the room, another $7.20 for my tall latte. So it is time, I'm awake, I finish the coffee, and then we walk over to the Hilton Hawaiian Village again because I had a tip from somebody that there was a woman over there that does braids. And I thought it'd be a good idea to have my hair kind of pulled back in a braid so I don't have to worry about fixing it or it getting in my way. And it's just kind of one less thing to deal with. She just has a little kiosk set up with a book and everything that she can do. She told me that my hair by length of hair would be $60 to do 2 French braid pigtails. I tipped her $10, so it ended up being $70, and we paid cash. After getting my hair braided, we went over to Happy's. So we grabbed a breakfast burrito for Tim, a couple hash browns, and then I picked up a veggie wrap to just take with us since we were going on a hike. So the cost of that was $18.20. Our first hike of the day was the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail. That's free. It doesn't cost to do the hike, and it doesn't cost to park. It was very windy. I wish that we had brought a jacket or something because it was morning, and with the wind and being up so high, it was chilly. But it took about an hour. Really enjoyed it. It was paved the whole way, so I would say for a beginner, that would be a great hike to start out with, and I'm glad that's what we chose to do first. The next thing we did was the Pali Lookout. So we drove to this location. It's right off the highway. There's signs for it. There's a small parking lot. If you want to get a great view of the island without actually going on a hike, that's how you do it. Go to the Pali Lookout. It's incredible. Next, we wanted to go check out Bellows Air Force Station. So we were kind of in the area, in the general area. We wanted to ask about reservations and how the whole process works, and so we went to Turtle Cove, which is basically the recreation center. They have a gift shop there. There's another Starbucks inside, along with it looked like a smaller restaurant and just some other recreational areas to kind of hang out at. We did a little shopping at the gift shop, and then they had a mango Dole Whip machine, so you better believe your girl got some of that. And altogether, we spent $49.90. Not too bad. After Bellows was our big hike of the day. We went and hiked Diamond Head. I think I was a little naive going into this. I am not the most athletic person by any means, but I thought, well, let's give it a try. So off we went. We did book this in advance because apparently it does book up pretty quickly and there are limitations. And so it was about a month before our trip when I booked it online. You can pay the entry fee and the parking fee together and then print off your QR code. And then when you go through the gate, you just show it to them. They scan it and they give you a map and then send you on your way. So that one took a little longer. I think it took an hour and a half maybe total. It seemed like much longer, but it really wasn't. Again, the views are just indescribable. There are no words that can equate the feeling that you get from standing at the top of this crater. If you do one of the 2 hikes that we did and you're able, do Diamond Head. It's the most rewarding. So the total cost of this entire hike with the entry fee and the parking, it was $21.53, and worth every penny. By this time, we were so sore and tired and hungry that we made our way back to Hale Koa. We parked the Jeep, walked across the street, and then went straight to the exchange, and we picked up a few things for the room. We got a few water bottles, Tim got some beers, things to have in the fridge just in the room. But that little stop was $11.45. And then we decided, because we were so dirty and gross from hiking and sweating all day, that we didn't want to do like a sit-down dinner. We didn't really feel like, getting cleaned up just for like an hour. So we decided we were going to go get Happy's. We were going to go back to Happy's and have dinner there. I got the fish and chips, and then Tim got some chicken tenders and french fries. And then we each got a drink, like a water, and maybe I think I might have gotten a Coca-Cola. But the total for that was $28.50. So you should know, if you're going, that every Friday, Hilton Hawaiian Village does a firework display at 7:45 at night. So people will start gathering a little bit before that. You could actually probably just sit at the barefoot bar that's right out in that little grassy area and just watch them from there. But a lot of people like to go out to the beach to actually get the full view of all the fireworks. So that's what we did. We just finished our food, went over to the barefoot bar, got a drink. I got the Koa, which is like a frozen concoction with chocolate and Kahlua and stuff like that. Perfect for dessert. It was amazing. Delicious. So got our drink and then went out to the sand and watched the fireworks. It was maybe a 5-minute show. Not even that long. It was a pretty quick show, but definitely worth it and free. The total cost for that entire day was $835.55. I think the majority of that cost was the Turo. It was the Jeep rental. And I put that on day 3 because that's the day we picked it up. But again, like I said, I paid for that in advance. You could take the $835 and subtract $609, and that's actually what we spent for the day. Our next day was a pretty big day. Before our trip, I knew that I wanted to do something out of my comfort zone, something adventurous that I knew Tim would be a little bit uncomfortable with too, but that we would come home feeling proud and glad that we did. And so we decided that we were going to go swim with sharks. You see a lot of these tour companies that have the cages that you get in, and then they kind of like lower it in the water and the shark will swim by. And we could have done that, but we found a program through One Ocean Diving up on the North Shore that lets you swim with the sharks outside of a cage. So that's what we signed up for. We're crazy. So I booked this online, and I did also add on a GoPro footage package. So there was like an additional $60, I think, 60-ish included in this price. But the total cost for 2 adults was $369.56. They recommended that you book the earliest tour available because the water was a lot smoother in the mornings. Seasickness is a thing, and apparently a lot of people that go on these tours get seasick. Even if you don't think that you get seasick, you probably will. I can say that I was one of those people that didn't think that I would get seasick, but I did feel nauseous. They'll tell you everything to do to prepare. One of the things was take Dramamine, take it the night before your excursion, and then take it the morning of, like a couple hours before you go out. You're going to want it in your system. Without making this a 2-hour-long video, I'll just say that it was one of the best experiences that we had in Hawaii ever. And I'm so proud of Tim because one of the things that he is most scared of in life is sharks and alligators. But sharks was one of those things that was way up there for him, and he conquered his fear. He got in. He did amazing. He dove down. He was right there with them, and we have the video footage to prove it. If you guys haven't seen that, again, I'm going to link it in the description. Make sure you check it out. It was such a fun morning. So after the shark dive, we were hungry, oddly enough, because I was nauseous, but I felt like I needed to get something nutritious into my body to just kind of like level out all of that uneasiness. And so we found Haleiwa I think it's called Haleiwa, not Haleiwa, but Haleiwa bowls. It was super cute. They had all these different smoothie bowls and just smoothies that you could get. It would have been enough for two. If Tim wanted to share that with me, it would have been plenty for the both of us, but he wasn't interested. And then I got an iced coffee as well. Altogether on that, it was $20.16. The next thing we did was went on a quest. We went to find the Lifeguard Training Center from Baywatch, Hawaii. This was a show back in 2000, 2001, I believe. It was only on for 2 seasons, I think, maybe 3. But Jason Momoa started out on that show, if you didn't know. He wasn't always this, like, hairy, burly, like, mountain man. He was a beach bum in Hawaii before all of that started. And so we went and found it. Everything on the internet will tell you, oh, it's at this beach. It was the Haleiwa Ali Beach Park. It's free to go. You can park if there's a parking space. So we got out, we kind of walked around, and we saw a building that I was like, that might be it, but I couldn't really tell. And so I pulled up the pictures that I could find on Google. And luckily for us, we were walking around the building and there were a couple lifeguards. And so Tim walked over there because I wasn't going to do it. But Tim went over and he was like, is this the lifeguard training center from Baywatch? And they're like, yes. And they were like, it's been here a long time, but they actually just started demolishing it 6 months ago. So that's why it didn't quite look like the one I remembered, but it felt good to have somebody like verify that, yes, that was it. So we got a couple pictures. I had my little moment like standing where Jason Momoa was. So I was happy with that. After that, we were like, what should we do now? Because we didn't really have too much of an agenda, aside from the shark dive. We just wanted to like kind of explore on our own. And so we were hungry. We wanted to get some beach subs because that's what we like to do here in Charleston. And so we found this deli, Stordo's Deli, I think is how you say it. Tim and I each got a half a sub, which actually was pretty big. It was bigger than a Subway half, so it was a pretty large sandwich. It cost $25 total for the both of us, but this place was cash only, so we did have to use some cash there. As far as the beach that we chose, we debated on going back to the Jason Momoa beach or like finding a new one. And we ultimately decided to find a new one. And so we drove until we found Waimea Bay Beach Park. This was also another free beach. That's something I love about Hawaii is all the beaches are public and they're not like here where they try to make them all private. But anybody can go. It was kind of hard to find a parking spot because the parking lot was a little small, but we just drove around maybe 3 times until somebody left and then we parked. Driving up to that beach, we passed an entrance to something that looked important. And so we're like, what is that? So we got on our map and we found out that it was Waimea Valley or Waimea Waterfall. And I was like, oh, we need to do that for sure. After we had our sandwiches at the beach, we departed and went back across the street into Waimea Valley. And we decided to just take that little hike to the waterfall and go see it. There was a general admission price of $25. But military only have to pay $10. You do have to show your ID, though, for each person. So Tim had to show his ID, and I had to show my ID. So $20 for the both of us. We did the hike to the waterfall, and then we came back. And before we left, we stopped into the gift shop, and we ended up getting a couple things there. So the total for that visit was $51.31. After that, we decided we were going to go back to the hotel and take showers and get cleaned up because we had been in the ocean with sharks. We were up like before the sun, and then we did the hiking and we were on the beach, so we were sandy and sweaty and everything else. And so we wanted to go get cleaned up because dinner on this night was going to be our special anniversary, fancy dinner. We are not the type of people to go out to dinner much at all, let alone like a nice fancy place. But we decided since we were kid-free on this trip, big milestones and whatnot, we decided to go to Duke's. So with it being an anniversary dinner, we decided we weren't going to hold back on what we ordered. We were going to get what we wanted and just celebrate 10 years of marriage and 20 years of service and have a good time. I don't remember if I actually had 2 or 3. We both got Mai Tais because, you're in Hawaii and it's just what you do. Tim ended up ordering the filet, which is very out of character for him. He's more of a burger type of guy. But again, with the anniversary dinner, he was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get the filet. So was like, go for it, man. Get what you want. I got the Dupe's favorite macadamia nut crusted mahi-mahi, and it was wonderful. It was superb. And then with that, we decided to get the add-on salad bar, which was another maybe $7 each. And then they did surprise us with a free hula pie. So altogether with the drinks, the salad bar add-on, the dinner plates, and then the hula pie, which was free, it was $242.09. And that's after tip as well. That was probably in the most expensive dinner that we have ever had. That was so much money on food. It's hard. It's hard to swallow. No pun intended. So we decided to walk back to the Hale Koa because it was only a mile away. And so we walked along the beach until we got to the Sheraton. When you get to that point at the Sheraton, you have to go inside through the little shopping area, the shopping mall that they have down there. And in doing so, we passed a place called Nectar Bath Treats. And you can't help but look at the windows when you walk by and just want to go in there. They had like a bunch of dessert-shaped soaps and bath bombs and that kind of thing. And we thought, this is like right up Story's alley, so we cannot pass up getting her something from here. And that ended up being $29.26. So by that point, we were done for the day. So the grand total was $737.38. So the big things we spent money on this day were obviously the shark dive and then that dinner. Other than that, it was a pretty affordable day. Okay, so the next day, you would think that maybe we would kind of get used to the time change by this point, maybe sleep in a little later, but that never really happened. I think a lot of that was adrenaline and just, wanting to get out and do all these exciting things that we really didn't sleep in too much when we were in Hawaii. And so I'm glad that I booked this the way that I did. And I started off, with things really early in the morning, and then kind of it taper off towards the end of the day to like allow a little bit more free time to do what we wanted or to change plans, in the afternoon or in the evenings. But we started off with an excursion at Kualoa Ranch. So that was a 45-minute drive up to the North Shore on the windward side. We got in the Jeep, drove up there, and we had to check in. I believe it was at 8 o'clock or maybe 7:30 or something like that. So this was something that I also booked in advance online. And if you go to their website and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a little clickable link that says military something or other. So when you click on that, it'll give you, the military cost for these excursions. So since we booked with the military discount, we saved $52.36 on our tickets. So for 2 adults, the total was $251.20. After we checked in at Kualoa, we had a little bit of time to grab some breakfast in their little small cafe. And so we didn't want anything huge, but we wanted like just a little something. So we grabbed an egg and cheese and bacon sandwich. It was $7.33, and I cannot say that it was worth it. If you saw the video, we showed it, but it was basically a hamburger bun with this like see-through egg flap that was, I don't even think that was one full egg. It might have been like half an egg. And then a couple pieces of bacon, which Tim did say that the bacon was good. I didn't eat that part, but I don't think that I would get that again. Definitely grab something at Hale Koa before you go, or just plan on eating afterwards. So on this excursion, they do stop you on the trail at the very beginning and they take your picture. So when you're done with the whole thing, they'll show it to you and they'll, let you buy it as a print. It has one of those little like cardstock frames on it, but it was $20. And then she said if you email her within the next 24 hours, she'll send you a digital copy of the same picture, which I thought was really nice. So it was kind of like a 2-for-1. So of course, we couldn't leave without going into the gift shop. We walked around, we got a few t-shirts, we got a couple magnets, a couple stickers. They had lots of neat stuff to look at. So neat that we spent $98.26 total there. So after that, we got cleaned up. We wiped the dirt off our faces and changed clothes. And then we just wanted to drive around and just kind of explore the area again. Because I think that's what a lot of being in Hawaii is about, is just immersing yourself in the surroundings and the beauty of just being on an island. And so we drove around. We found this little beach that it didn't seem very crowded. And so we parked on the side of the road, hopped out, and then just went down to the water, laid a towel out, and just kind of sat there and just just took it all in. You know, it was just such a perfect day. The weather was amazing. It was just beautiful. We took a little bit of time to reflect. At this point, our sad little sandwich just like wasn't enough for us, and we were getting pretty hungry. And so we decided to drive around and try to find something to eat. One of the big things that we wanted to do on the trip was find some good food trucks, because food trucks are supposed to be plentiful on the North Shore, and apparently there were a lot of good ones. We're driving along Kamehameha Highway, and off to the right, we saw this whole congregation of food trucks and trailers and all of this stuff, and we were like, bingo, that's where we want to go. We pulled off, found a place to park, and we were just kind of walking around just to see what they had and what we might want to try. And there was a huge long line at this one truck under this pavilion. And come to find out, it was Giovanni's shrimp truck, which is a huge favorite. And to myself, I said, this is where you need to try shrimp, just to make sure that you don't like it. Because I had tried it several different places, and it just wasn't my thing. And I thought, surely, if I'm gonna like it, Hawaii is gonna be the place that's gonna have, you know, some good shrimp to change my mind. So I spent $20 on a plate with some garlic shrimp and some rice, and then I got a side of their mac salad. And I can confidently say that I am still not a shrimp person, sadly. So it pains me to say I wasted a plate of garlic shrimp from Giovanni's shrimp truck. I'm sorry. Tim found one called 80 chicken sandwiches, and he ordered a fried chicken sandwich, and it came with fries. And that's basically the entire business model of this food truck is, you know, the guy that owns it and started the company, he wanted to make the very best chicken sandwich ever in the world. And so in order to do that, he had to keep it basic and simple and not fluff it up with too many sauces and spices. And so he just wanted to perfect the art of frying chicken. And so that's what you got. You got a fried chicken piece, like a large piece on a sandwich. And then you could choose a dip, and he chose, it was either blue cheese or something called that sauce. And that's what Tim got. And then you could either choose a bottle of water or a can of lilikoi juice. And Tim got the lilikoi so I could have it. So he spent $17 on that. So on our way back around the island, we were starting to come back down, and we remembered we were near the Dole Plantation. When you go, you can get tickets to ride a train. It's like a little tram, and it will take you through the plantation where they grow all the pineapples, and they have all the, what is that called? When you have pineapple, it's not an orchard, but what is that? When there's like a bunch of pineapples, is that a farm? What is that? We opted not to do that because we thought, you know, maybe that'd be a good thing to do with Story next time that we come and she's with us. Maybe she'll want to do that. So we didn't do it this time. We just went in and basically wanted to get Dole Whip. That's really what I wanted. I was there for the Dole Whip. But upon entering, we found out that they have every single piece of merchandise under the sun that has anything to do with pineapple. They also had the little cafe area where you could get hot dogs and chili dogs and pineapple chili dogs, and then just different kind of treats. And then there was another section that had a bunch of local vendors set up to sell their goods and everything that they make. And so we kind of walked through there too. But the main thing that I wanted was the Dole Whip. So that was the first thing I got. And it was $11.35. And I just got the regular pineapple Dole Whip in a cup. Nothing special. But it was fantastic. Dare I say, better than Disney. In the gift shop, I did end up getting a t-shirt or two and then a few other little things and some snacks, and I spent $66.39. And then among the local vendors, we did end up getting a couple outfits. Tim got a shirt, Story got a matching dress, and then another little miniature dress to go on her American Doll. And so the three matching outfits together cost $102.59. So after that trip, we went back to Hale Koa. We parked, and then we went to the exchange, and we grabbed a few more snacks and a few more bottles of water for the room. And we spent $44.90. So since we were so spoiled the night before with that delicious dinner from Duke's, we were like, let's have another good dinner. So we decided to call down to Biba's downstairs on property and see if they had any reservations available. Luckily, they were able to squeeze us in, so we went down a little late in the evening. It was probably around 8 o'clock, and we were seated pretty quickly, and we ordered a couple drinks. Tim got a longboard, and then I think I got I either got a Mai Tai or I got a blue Hawaiian or something like that. And then for dinner, Tim got the spaghetti and meatballs, and then I ordered the plant-based steak luau salad, which was basically greens with some macadamia nuts in there, and then it had the imitation steak and pineapple, and then there was a pineapple vinaigrette, and there was not very much. And so I poured that on and I ate what I wanted, but it still needed something to me. Like it needed a little bit more dressing or flavor. And so I did actually end up asking for another side of ranch so that I could finish the salad. I probably wouldn't order that again. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't my favorite thing. And then I also ordered a bowl of the French onion soup. After dinner, we decided to get a piece of the pineapple upside down cake. I would say we shared that, but that was mostly for me because Tim doesn't eat pineapple. But altogether, we spent $83 after tip, and that, again, remember, is tax-free. So the grand total for this day ended up being $722.02. Moving on to day number 6. This was going to be a day where we kind of took our time in the morning. We wanted it to be casual without a lot of structure in the day because we had plans at sunset to meet a photographer up on the North Shore around the Kualoa area so that she could take our pictures. So to start the day, we decided to do some laundry. There's a laundry area on every floor at the hotel. And so down at the end of the hall, they have one washing machine and one dryer, and then a vending machine for detergent and softener. We brought that from home, so we didn't need to purchase that, but it did cost a couple dollars to do the washing machine and the dryer. So we spent around $5 doing that. When that was finished, we decided to go to brunch because it was a little bit later in the morning. And we had heard recommendations for a place called Yogurstory. And we were like, well, we gotta go there because it says Story in the name, and that's our daughter's name. Oh, I forgot, I did also have another coffee from Starbucks. So add $7.20 to that. So Yogurstory was about a mile away from the hotel. I don't know if it was walkable necessarily. I'm sure you probably could, but since we had the Jeep, we just drove. The restaurant was kind of set back in this very small little shopping plaza, so the spaces for the parking lot were just very crammed in there. So we got the Jeep wedged in. Thank God Tim was driving and not me, but he wedged us in there in a spot. We went in. I ordered the pink drink, which was like a strawberry coconut milk kind of creamy concoction. And then I ordered this avo benedict something or other. It was like eggs benedict, but with avocado, and it was vegetarian. And then I had the tater tots on the side and a spinach salad. Tim ended up getting like a sausage skillet. We both loved our meals. And then we ended up getting the ube pancakes at the very end, and we both split that. I'm shocked that Tim ate that because of how purple it was, but he went to town on it just like me. We conquered breakfast. So the total ended up being $65.87. For as much food as we got, and for being in Hawaii, I think that was a very fair price. After tax and tip, $65. We did need to fill up the gas tank in the Jeep, so after brunch, we found the nearest gas station, filled it up. If I remember right, it was like $5 and something a gallon, or around $5 a gallon. To fill it up, it cost us $80. But to be fair, we did do a lot of driving. Everywhere we went on the other side of the island was about a 45-minute drive. So within those 4 days that we had the Jeep, we did put some miles on it. The day before, when we were at the food truck congregation, there was a girl behind us that was wearing a flower crown, or a lepo'o. And I asked her where she got it because originally I wanted to order one for our pictures, and I just ran out of time to do it in advance. And I was like, where did you get that? Like, is there any place I can go for a last minute one of those? And she was like, oh, yes, go to this place. And she pulled out her phone and showed me on Instagram. It was called Lynn's Lay Shop. And she was like, just go. They have a cooler outside with, ready-made lays and crowns and everything. Tim drove through Chinatown. We located Lynn's Lay Shop, and I just kind of found one that looked pretty. It ended up being $68.06 for it. But prior to the trip, I was looking at these to be custom made a day beforehand and all of that, and the prices were averaging around $100. And so for $68, I felt like I was getting a deal, especially because it was last minute. For these pictures, I ordered a dress online before the trip. There's an online boutique called Baltic Born, and they have a lot of dresses for weddings, for bridesmaids. It seems like they cater to photography. I found this kimono style dress and it cost $47. Through recommendation, we found Shannon Malek Photography. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I don't know how that's pronounced, but Shannon. I will link her whole website and everything and Instagram below in the description so you can check her out. But she did a phenomenal job with the shooting, with the communication, with the execution, and like just the magical pictures that they are. Like, I was mind blown. For this session at sunset, it cost us $780. But we have an entire album now full of these gorgeous, magical, like almost fake looking pictures because they're that good. So like I had said, that photo session was held during sunset and it was up by Kualoa. So it was the 45-minute drive up north, and then we came back. We wanted to get shave ice at this point. Whatever time it was in the evening, all of the shave ice places were closed. So sadly, we did miss out on doing that. It's on the list for next time. We kind of just wanted to take it easy for dinner again and not do anything too extravagant because we did have to pack up our suitcases. We called down to Biba's at Hale Koa and we placed a carryout order. So all of that ended up being $69. And again, tax-free. And that did include a tip as well. After dinner, we were like, okay, this is the day to go get all the souvenirs that we want. We had been in the exchange a few times, but we never really bought souvenirs. And so we were like, we better go do that because we're packing up the suitcases. We want to make sure we can get everything in there and it's good to go before morning. So we ran down to the exchange, bought everything, and then we went back to the room and we started packing. When we went to the exchange, we ended up spending $280.15. And it's tax-free, so you can buy all these things at the exchange without paying that extra tax. And if you have a military star card, you can use it there too. So the grand total for day 6 ended up being a lot. But again, remember, we had that high price tag on the photography session, and then we did all of our souvenir shopping at the end of the day. So those two big totals made a grand total of $1,402.28. Oh, it's an expensive trip. Are you guys still following along with all this? The next day, day number 7, was our checkout of Hale Koa Day, and then check into Aulani, a Disney resort and spa. So on checkout day, we had arranged with our Turo host to turn in the Jeep at Aulani. That was also the nice thing about Turo, is he dropped it off to us at Hale Koa, and then we messaged back and forth, and he found out we were doing a split stay and going to Aulani for the second half of our trip. And he was like, oh, well, I can just pick it up from you over there instead of at Hale Koa again. That way, it allowed us to drive ourselves over to Aulani, and then he could just pick it up from there. So we woke up that morning, and we started packing everything, and we soon realized that we did not have a ton of space left for our souvenirs. And fortunately, they had luggage at the exchange. We made the split decision to run down there when they opened, and we bought a suitcase for $44.48, and we brought it up to the room and packed it. Tim brought the Jeep around to the lobby and we loaded it up, and then we went to check out and pay our balance. Now, again, since we had the Jeep for 4 days, we did have to pay that $20 a day parking fee, and it equaled out to $80. And then we signed off on our grand total at Hale Koa. So it was about a 45-minute drive from Hale Koa to Kualoa, where Aulani is. On the way, there was a Leonards bakery truck off in this little parking lot. So we decided we were going to stop there and try malasadas, which we hadn't been able to try yet on the trip. So when we got there, it wasn't very busy. There were maybe 2 other people in line. From what I heard, the other location is always very busy. So this might be a better way to try malasadas if you want to and you don't want to waste a lot of time. We ordered 6 of them, 6 different flavors, and it cost $11.52 for all of them. And we headed off to Aulani. Along the way, we got a message from our host saying, hey, if you guys want, you can keep the Jeep for another couple days, and then you can use it to drive back to the airport on the day you leave, but it's totally up to you. So he was offering us another extra couple days. And we thought about it, and we were like, that'd be great, because then we won't have to pay for an Uber to get from, Aulani over to Honolulu Airport. We ended up doing it because we thought maybe we'd leave Aulani and go across the street and go shopping, or maybe we'd find another place to go eat, and, the option would be there if we wanted. So we ended up doing it, and it was an extra $119.08. It was a wonderful offer, and I'm really glad that he extended that, but we didn't end up using the Jeep. Once we got to Aulani, we found out there was plenty there to do. We didn't need to go and do all these other things because we just spent our 6 days doing all of these adventures on the island. So that was our time to focus on Aulani. We didn't end up using the Jeep. But it was nice to have to get to the airport like we, said initially. So we arrived at Aulani. We got there pretty early in the day. It was like 8:30 in the morning. We did verify with the cast members at Aulani that it was okay if we got there early. They told us that our room might not be ready, but we could absolutely check in and then utilize the resort. So that's what we did. We got there, got all of our stuff out of the Jeep, and then they parked it for us. And then we went over to the check-in counter, gave them all of our information, let them know that we were there. They went over all of the policies with us and then kind of gave us some suggestions on what we could do. We were only staying there for 2 nights. They had a military promotion going on whenever we booked this. It was 30% off of our stay. And originally when we booked it, we wanted to just get a standard room, nothing fancy. We just wanted to experience Aulani. But whenever we had that conversation on the phone, they were telling us what the price was. And then they were like, you could really just stay in this villa for about the same price if you wanted to. It was maybe $200 or so more than just a standard room, but for what we got compared to the price, it was definitely worth it. We stayed in the Garden Island View 1-bedroom villa, and for 2 nights, it was $1,312.22. I did the math somewhere to figure out how much we saved, but it was several $100s with the military discount. So it was really nice to see those savings come off. We also did a room tour of this room. So if you haven't seen that, I'm going to link that in the description as well. But it was a beautiful, I still dream about that room. It had a full kitchen. It had the dining area. It had the washer and dryer, which was ultimately like the best thing. So they gave us all of our paperwork. And they were like, if you just want to explore, you can do that. You can go use the pools if you want to. If you have your swimsuits with you, just go and get your wristband and then get your towels. And then they'll know that you're already checked in and you're an actual resort guest. And you can feel free to do anything you want. So we went downstairs and we found the Olelo room, which was kind of a dining area, but it was also a bar. And we just ordered a couple drinks. Let's try their Mai Tai and see what it's like. So I ended up ordering one of the off-the-menu Mai Tais that the bartender recommended, and it was fabulous. And then Tim ended up getting a longboard, I think, and that was $30.13. After that, we kind of walked around the pools a little bit. We got our wristbands that said, hey, we're resort guests here, like we can be here. And then we walked over to grab some lunch. So we placed an order at this little pool bar hut. And Tim got the butcher's favorite burger, and then I got the mahi tacos, the fish tacos, and then each of us got a drink. But the total for that was $87.48 after tip. So now we're back into a place where you have to pay taxes, and then, it just makes everything more expensive. Once our room was ready, we went back up there, we got our luggage, we got everything kind of unpacked and settled in. We changed into our swimsuits, and then we went down to the lazy river. We did a few laps around that, and we just enjoyed the next few hours. And then once dinner time rolled around, we were like, I wonder what we should do. We tried to make a reservation at Makahiki. They got us in. I think we had a reservation around like 7 o'clock, but then we changed our minds and we were like, well, maybe we'll just try to do this for breakfast instead. And so we went back and we were like, can we cancel that and maybe try to do breakfast? And they told us, you can try to do breakfast without a reservation, but you probably want to be here extremely early, like 6:45 in the morning before we open, to see if there's any cancellations or walk-ins available. So we were like, okay, that's fine, we'll do that. And then we decided for dinner we would just do a quick, easy pizza. So at Ulu Cafe, you can go customize what kind of pizza you want. And we got one large pizza, half and half. So Tim likes all the meats. I like all the veggies. And so we split it right down the middle. This was our fault for not paying attention to the price. But now I can tell you guys so that you don't make the same mistake if you decide to go here and get this pizza. But it was a $24 cheese pizza, okay? And then each topping that you get is $2 extra. We didn't read that part. And so Tim's like, give me the sausage and the pepperoni over here and I think he got ham maybe for the other one. And then I got pineapple and black olives and onion on mine. So we had like 6 or 7 different toppings. So do the math. 2 times 6, $18 plus the $24 original pizza cost. So it ended up being $38 for one pizza. Like that was crazy. I mean, it was good, but that cost way too much. That was our fault for not even paying attention. And then I decided to order the refillable drink cup, like the refillable cups that you get at Disney resorts. So I was like, yeah, I'll get one of those. It'll be worth it. So I paid $22.95, and I might have refilled it twice. Again, had we been there longer, it would have been totally worth it. But because we were only there for like one full day, I wouldn't do that again. So altogether, our dinner at Ulu Cafe was $63.82 for one pizza and one drink. We're going to make the mistakes so you guys don't, okay? By the way, yes, I am messing with the white balance on this because the clouds and the sun are not cooperating for me today. So sorry if you keep seeing a change in lighting. It's just me adjusting the white balance. But I was talking about the pizza. We actually took that back up to our room because we had a lanai that overlooked the luau garden. Fortunately for us, there was a luau that night, and we just took our pizza out onto the balcony and we just watched the show from there. Again, we have video on it. You can see our view and see, what that was like. But to me, I feel like we got a free luau out of our room too, because the luau cost over $200 a person, and all we had to do was open the door and step outside, and we got it for free. When you factor the value of the room and the location into the cost, I think all of these things kind of helped, Remember, this day included checking out of Hale Koa and then checking into Aulani. So the grand total today is going to be higher than probably any other day. So keep that in mind. But the grand total for day 7 was $3,661.23. It was a lot today. Okay, moving on to our final day in Hawaii, our last full day in Hawaii, I'll say. Remember, our plan was to go down to Waikiki to try to get, not a reservation, but to try to walk in to see if there was any availability for us at the character breakfast. So we got dressed, we went down there at 6:45. Sadly, because it's Hawaii and it rains all the time, we did have a rainy morning that day, so all of the outside seating was closed off. And so our odds went from bad to worse. And we didn't end up getting to go eat at Waikiki. But we put it on our list of things to do for next time. And that's also something I think would be better enjoyed with story, if you know what I mean. Like, there's characters, and while I would have loved to have seen them, I think that that's something that I'd rather share with story. Sometimes disappointments can be blessings in disguise, right? So instead of spending money on that character breakfast, we just decided, well, you know what? We have these extra malasadas from yesterday. We'll just have that. So we had our leftover malasadas, and then we went on with the day. At Aulani, they have this whole man-made reef, and they call it Rainbow Reef, and you can go rent snorkel gear for the day and get access to the reef all day. It's $25 a person, so for Tim and I, it was $52.35. That includes all of your gear, and then again, it's for all day, so you can use the reef at any point you want. And then it also includes snorkel gear for out in the ocean. So if you get done with the reef and you want to go do the ocean, the little bay area, you can do that as well. They use separate equipment, so you just turn in the equipment from the reef and then go get your new equipment down by the ocean. So that $25 covered all of that for us. You also have the option to pay for I forget what they call it, but basically like a pass for your entire stay. Since we were only going to be there for one day, we just paid the $25. Well worth it. I think that was one of the more budget-friendly activities that we did there. So after we spent all of our time in the water, we got rinsed off, and then we decided we're a little hungry. So we stopped off at Mama's Snack Shop and got a quick lunch Tim got the chicken tenders with french fries, and then I got the fried ono fish and chips. It came with a bunch of different sauces. Tim got a longboard to go with that, and then I think I just had water. But the total for that was $54.43. It was all delicious. We had leftovers for later. We took it back up to the room and got changed and cleaned up. And then we went back downstairs to Kalepa's gift shop, and we decided we were going to get all of our souvenirs and get that knocked out and done. We picked up some t-shirts, some keychains, a couple little things for Story. I got a Spirit jersey. Watch the haul video and you'll see all of it. But the total for that visit was $272.75. We brought it all back up to the room, and then we heard a bunch of commotion outside. And so we opened up the lanai and we looked out there and we saw Mickey. And we were like, oh, we gotta go see Mickey because he's like right there. Ran down the steps and we went down and got in line. We waited maybe 10 minutes and then I got to hug him, and he loved my outfit because I coordinated with him, and he was like, oh my gosh. It was a really cute little magic moment. We walked over by the pool area because I wanted to get a shaved ice. And on the way, we saw Goofy. He was standing over by the pool in his swimwear getup, and he had his water shoes on, and he was all funny looking. We went and said hi to him, and that was really cute. And then we went over to get our shave ice. I think that's something that everybody needs to do, even if it's not the best shave ice on the island. Where else are you going to find a shave ice with Mickey ears? So there were a couple different options that you could do. You could do just the shave ice, plain with no Mickey ears, or you could add the Mickey ears. You could get soft serve ice cream underneath the ice, and then you could get sweetened condensed milk drizzled on top. I got it all. I picked banana, guava, and bubblegum, and those 3 flavors made the prettiest rainbow on my ice. So if you want that perfect Instagram picture, that's what you need to get. But the cost for that was only $7.50. So even though we spent quite a bit at the gift shop, the afternoon is where we spent the majority of our money. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to do this, and so I felt so lucky that we could squeeze this in. But we went to the spa. We called. We were like, hey, do you have any availability for a couples massage this afternoon? And they looked on the books and they were like, sadly, no, we don't, but we could get both of you in individually at separate times, but back to back. And we were like, cool, let's do that, because that way we could still enjoy the whole hydrotherapy garden, where all the rain showers were, and the polar plunge, as we called it, and all those pools and stuff. We got to go and do that together, so I was really thankful for that. I ended up getting my service first, and then Tim just kind of relaxed while I was getting that done, and then we flipped. So he got his service, and then I just kind of relaxed and waited for him. We did the Lomi Lomi 50-minute signature massage, and it was absolutely fantastic. That whole experience was on another level. So for the Lomi Lomi massage, it was $185 per person. And then they do add the service gratuity onto that bill. It's a 20% fee, so that added $74. And then because this experience was so amazing, we wanted to do more, and so we added $20 extra for each technician. So that added $40 to the total. So the grand total for the spa was $501.42. Not something that we do all the time. Not even something that we would do at home for our birthday or, anything like that. This was a once in a decade experience, literally, because it was our 10-year anniversary. We splurged. I know it's expensive, but if you have something that you want to celebrate, that's how I would recommend doing it. Because we spent so much at the spa, we decided we wanted to go low-key on dinner and not really spend too much. And we were so relaxed that we didn't really want to change and get all fancy to go sit in a dining room somewhere. So after the spa, we just kind of hung out at the infinity pool. We watched the sunset go down, and then we went back to the room. We had our leftover pizza, and we just kind of hung out because we had to pack, and we did some laundry, and we just kind of, took it easy. Tim decided that he did want to go down to Off the Hook. It's one of the little walk-up bars that they have down there, and he wanted to get one more drink before we left Hawaii. And so he went down there. I spent a little bit of time in the jacuzzi, and I had the door open to the lanai, and I could hear the luau happening outside. It was the most amazing way to end the trip. So I did the same thing on this day that I did back in Hale Koa. I just did a grand total for all of our drinks throughout the day. So when I give you this total, it's not like, oh, we went down and sat at the bar and had this much to drink at one time. This was spread out throughout the day. I just lumped it into one total for the sake of this itinerary. But our tropical drink bill for the day ended up being $63.39. So if you're not a drinker, you could easily cut this from your budget. This is not something that, everybody is going to include in their day. But it did bring our grand total for our last day in Hawaii up to $897.41. I debated on whether I should include the Disneyland portion of the trip because that was technically part of our trip, but it wasn't Hawaii. And not everybody is going to do what we did. I decided not to add it, but if that's something that you guys are interested in hearing about, if you want to hear about what we paid at Disneyland and what the tickets cost and, the room cost and all of that. If you want to know any of that information, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll make a second video. But for this one, just for the sake of this being a really long video, I'm going to cut it off here and just call this the end of our Hawaii trip. The grand total, when all was said and done in Hawaii, on the island, we spent $8,895.75. Yeah, it's a lot. You don't have to tell me. After hearing about everything that we did, everything that was included in that, on top of getting the military pricing on the resort at Hale Koa and the military promotional price at Aulani, and then saving on the flights, using our miles. There are ways to budget your vacation. We did things on our trip that a lot of families aren't going to do. It's not important to them. You might want to go to Hawaii for something other than an anniversary or 20-year celebration. It might be just because you want to go because you've never been before. It might be because, you want to show your kids, another part of the country or a part of the world. There are definitely ways to make this trip cheaper. Not everybody's going to go to Duke's and spend $250. Not everybody's going to go pay almost $800 for professional pictures on the beach. Not everybody is going to even want to go to Aulani. You might decide just to stay at Hale Koa. If we go again, it will absolutely be more budget friendly because we'll have our daughter with us, and so it will look a little bit different than this one did. But if anything, I hope this gives you a little bit of insight and kind of maybe mentally prepares you for how much you could spend, or gives you maybe some inspiration or different ideas of things that you can do with your significant other or your family or by yourself if you just want to go alone. There's plenty to do in Hawaii by yourself. But I will say, if you're going to take the time to make those plans and go to Hawaii, do something that is outside of your comfort zone, outside of the boundaries of what you would normally allow on a regular day, because it is a special place. I know this is a long video. Thank you guys so much for following along. If you're still watching, you are a trooper. You are one of the loyal ones, because I know this is going to be a long one. I have to go edit this now. But I also think this is going to be the end of our discussions about Hale Koa for a little while until we start making plans to go back again. So now we're going to kind of transition back into more Shades of Green stays and more, sharing more inspiration and tips and ideas for vacations. And maybe a few home vlogs here and there, because we have a lot of stuff that we want to show you guys at home, including this room that I'm sitting in right now. If you guys were around at Christmas time and watched all of our Vlogmas videos, you might have an idea of what I'm talking about. But I promise you that is still coming up. We just want to finish this project before I actually make the whole video about it. Anyways, before this gets too long-winded, I just want to thank you again. If you got something from this video and you thought it was informative, go ahead and give us a like, because that does support us in our journey to 1,000 subscribers. And I hope you guys are here when we hit 1,000, because we are going to have that giveaway coming up as well. Don't forget to be happy, not just strong.